Hey there, my name's Gary Sims and this is Gary Explains. Now you may be wondering, what is this I have here in my hand? King crab fishing, anyone? So no, this isn't a live crab. This is actually a Linksys wireless router from FlashRouters that allows you to establish a permanent VPN connection so that all the traffic going out of your house goes encrypted across a VPN. So if you want to find out more, please let me explain. Okay, I'd like to say at the beginning I'm not being sponsored or paid to make this review. However, FlashRouters did send me this router for free so I could try out their services. Okay, let's have a look at it. Okay, so when looking at this Flash router, I want to look at it in three separate ways. First of all, about the router itself. That's obviously a Linksys router, as you've just seen. Secondly, about the firmware that it's running, and that's DD-WRT. And thirdly, about the Flash router service itself. So let's just talk quickly about this router. So obviously this is a Linksys router, it's the 3200 ACM, and you get it directly from FlashRouters. Now this is a particularly good router and it's got several features including, of course, tri-band support. It's got a 1.8 gigahertz dual ARM-based CPU in it. It's deliberately built to be ready for open source projects like DD-WRT, which we'll talk about in a minute. It's got multi-user MIMO. It's also got a US 3 port on it, which I'll talk about in a minute. It's got an eSATA port on it, which I'll talk about in a minute. It comes with gigabit Ethernet, it's got beamforming and so on. So this really is quite a sophisticated router. Now the way things work at FlashRouters is you go over to their website, you pick your router, and they have lots and lots of ones available starting from about $175, and then they will put on the firmware and everything and send it directly to you kind of ready out of the box to do this whole VPN thing, which I'll talk about in a minute. And one of the things that FlashRouters do is they put onto the router a version of DD-WRT, that's the open source replacement firmware for many of the popular routers that gives you extra functionality. For example, using DD-WRT, obviously you can create a VPN, and that's what we're going to be talking about, but there are loads of other things. You can even secure shell into it and kind of do Linux commands on the actual router. You can kind of have an FTP server. You can connect a hard disk drive via that USB 3 port or via eSATA, and then it can work as network attached storage. And I actually did that. I connected up with an external hard drive, and actually it works pretty well. I was getting 10 megabytes a second transfer speeds when I was copying files back and forth from my computer to the hard drive connected to the router. So DD-WRT gives you lots and lots of functionality. It's worth checking out. It's open source, and you can of course find it relatively quickly on the internet. If DD-WRT isn't your thing, also FlashRouters provide routers with Tomato USB, which is another replacement firmware, again based on Linux, again open source, that you can get for many popular routers. So if you're into one particular replacement type of firmware, then you can also get that. However, I found DD-WRT to be pretty good. So that's the router and that's the firmware. What do they do all together with FlashRouter? Basically gives you an easy way to create a VPN out onto the internet so that all of your traffic is encrypted. Now, if you don't know what a VPN is, it's a virtual private network. I do have a whole video explaining VPNs, which I will link to in the description below. So with a VPN, all the traffic that leaves your house and goes across your local telecommunications provider is encrypted. In fact, you can actually choose an endpoint for this encryption in a different country. And only once it gets to that server in that other country does it then go back to being normal internet traffic, which of course in itself could be encrypted if you're accessing a site over HTTPS, for example. So that means that your local environment, your local telecommunications provider, your local government cannot see the traffic that you're sending out. And of course, that's a great boon for those that are concerned about privacy. It's also good when you're dealing with things like, online banking and so on, because it does give you that extra layer of protection for at least part of the journey that your packets will be taking to your banking service. And there is of course another advantage to this, and that means you are allowed to unlock geo-protected content. If you're trying to access a website and it says, sorry, that's not available in your country, then using some VPN services, you're able to make the service think that you're in that country, and therefore you have access to that information. Now, the way FlashRouters work is you need, first of all, your own VPN contract or subscription with a VPN company. And they support a whole list of different VPN providers, and you have to make your arrangements with them independently. Now, I actually tried this out on 3 or 4 different VPN providers, and it all worked very, very well. The limitations come down to what that VPN provider gives you in terms of bandwidth and speed, and how much megabytes or gigabytes you can use over the connection, and how reliable it is, and where the servers are. So that's really your choice. You pick the VPN provider that you want, and then you pair that up with your Flash router. And the way Flash Router basically works is this: is all it asks you for is the username and the password of your VPN connection, and then just pick which VPN connection it is and which server you want to connect to. So you need to specify 4 things: username, password, what's the name of the VPN company you're using, and which server do you want to connect to. And that's it. You hit the connect button and then you are connected. And the idea is that everything then connects to this Flash router, normally over Wi-Fi, although it does also work over wired internet, is automatically sent over the VPN. So all of the people in your house, your children, your partner, all the people in your family can then automatically use an encrypted connection, which is very different to if you're using one that you actually start the VPN connection on your PC or on your Android device. Now you've got everything that connects to your Wi-Fi router is automatically sent over the VPN. And one of the great options you get here with this Flash router is this thing called a global kill switch. When you tick that box, it means that if the VPN connection drops for whatever reason, all internet traffic is stopped. So that means that you know that if the internet traffic is flowing, you are guaranteed it's flowing over a VPN. If it's dropped for whatever reason, because of a problem with your VPN provider, problem with your local telecommunications provider, then all of the traffic stops and nothing's going to escape until that VPN connection is re-established. Now, in some situations that might not be what you want, but in my testing, and that's how I've had it running now for several days, that's exactly what I wanted, and it works really, really well. So I've been using this now for several days, as I mentioned, and the only minor problem I found with it is this: if your VPN connection does drop because of a problem, let's say with your VPN provider, there's no auto reconnect function. It doesn't scan to see whether you're connected. If it is, the connection drops and that kill switch can kick in, but at that point it then doesn't try to re-establish the connection. So that means that when there is no internet flowing and you try to go online and it's not working, you have to reconnect using the VPN router. And the easiest way to do that is just to switch the router off, wait 5-10 seconds, switch it back on again, and then once it's rebooted, it will re-establish that VPN connection. Now, if you have a rock-solid VPN connection, if you have a rock-solid local internet connection, then that's going to be a very rare situation. I had a few days of thunderstorms recently, and during that period, my internet connection was going up and down quite a lot, so I did find myself having to restart the server. But it's not difficult, it's just something that you need to be aware of. Okay, so that's it. So as I said, the way it works, you go over to flashrouters.com, you pick the router you want to use, you make sure that you specify what is your VPN provider, they'll ship it to you, they give you installation instructions, you put in your username and password, and then that's it, you're connected, and every other device that connects now to that router is connected automatically to a VPN. Now, there is just one more thing. Today I'm launching a new award called the Gary Explains Approved Award. Now, from time to time, there are going to be products that I think are so good that they recognize a special award. Now, before you get worried, this is not a sponsorship award. You can't buy this award. If OEMs or makers send me an email saying how much does it cost to get us under your, it's not going to happen. If I like the product and I want to recognize it, I'll give it a Gary Explains Approved Award. And I'm really pleased to say that Flash Routers is going to be the first recipient of the Gary Explains Approved Award. So well done to Flash Routers. So there you go. My name is Gary Sims. This is Gary Explains. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and well, that's it. I'll see you in the next one.